Good evening, everyone. My name is Becky Fowler, and this is the case study presentation on the patient John. The patient is a 21-year-old Hispanic male, full-time college student. Height is 177.8 centimeters. Weight is 136.82 kilograms. For a BMI of 43.3. Classification, extreme obesity, class 3. He had excessive weight gain during adolescence. At age 13, he went from the 70th percentile to the 90th percentile on the CDC growth charts. And then at age 16, he went to the 97th percentile, which is a concern for pediatricians when children are growing. He played soccer until high school. After that, his physical activity decreased. Family history is unknown at this time, and the patient comes in because he states his obesity is beginning to inhibit his daily activities. When he was an adolescent, his pediatrician did show concern for the jump in percentile classes, but his mother declined nutrition education at that time, so it is understood the patient has had no prior nutrition education. He has gained 35 pounds since beginning college. It is assumed he began at age 18 for a weight gain of 11% over 3 years. He does not report eating breakfast. He eats pizza and soda for lunch daily. He states that he participates in late night partying, which includes alcohol intake and video gaming. He does not mention any consumption of water or fruit and vegetables. His physical activity includes walking 1 mile to and from class, and he is not taking any medications, vitamins, or herbal supplements. The weight gain that he's experiencing is likely from 2 factors: the genetics and also lifestyle choices. Research shows that people of Hispanic descent have a 21% increased risk of obesity, and 71% of Hispanic Americans are already overweight or obese. There may also be potential family history, but as stated, the family history is unknown at this time. His lifestyle choices include poor diet, lack of physical activity, and potential excessive alcohol intake. As discussed on a previous slide, the poor diet in conjunction with the lack of physical activity have led the patient to become morbidly obese. And the alcohol intake is a concern because he could be at increased risk of hepatic diseases, cancer, and a variety of other things. Some of the potential barriers to this patient getting on the road to a healthier lifestyle include psychological. The patient needs to be in the preparation stage, which he already has shown that he is by reaching out for help, but he needs to be ready to transfer to the action phase. If he does not do this, he may be his own barrier. Now, a solution to this is receiving the nutrition counseling and education from an RD could be beneficial. He could also consider seeking out counseling services that are possibly offered on campus. A social barrier is the previous decline for nutrition education by his mother, meaning his family may not be supportive of any lifestyle changes, and being in the college setting could also be a challenge because a lot of them are undergoing the peer pressure and the late night partying that was discussed. So some things he could do are invite family members to come to a meeting with the RD to learn more about the steps and changes that need to be made. He could ask friends or classmates to go to the gym or participate in different physical activities with him, or even start on his weight loss journey by healthier eating. And he needs to find different activities to participate in when his friends go drinking and do the late night partying. A dietary barrier are healthy options offered may be limited in the dining services, and cooking may not be allowed in the dormitory, which means he can't prepare food for himself. A couple of solutions for that: he could speak to the chef or cooks in working in the dining hall to discuss the available choices. And he can keep prepackaged meal replacements in his dorm room to help him get through the day between classes and things like that. Money could always be a barrier. He is a college student, so it's assumed that he's not working, so that may prohibit him. It may prohibit him from purchasing the healthier food options or the counseling. Some things he could do to help there are maybe to find a part-time job, either on or off campus, and he could always consider doing work study. So the nutrition prescription for this patient is outlined below. Using the Mifflin-St. Jeor calculation, his calories should be about 2,380 a day. And you can see the macronutrient breakdown for the carbohydrates, fat, and fluid. Carbohydrates, fat, and protein, and also including the fluid that he needs to be consuming daily. However, looking at the calories, you will see below that the recommended intake for him is 1,700 to 2,000 calories a day. Now, this is only a deficit of 380 calories by looking at the calculation. However, given the patient's weight, this will provide sufficient calories while still promoting weight loss, because it is assumed that he is consuming many more calories than that, even though we did not have a food diary to calculate his actual caloric intake. It is recommended he consume 3 meals and 2 to 3 snacks each day. He did not mention breakfast as stated earlier, so he needs to begin behavioral change by eating within 2 hours of waking up each day. As discussed, to provide sufficient calories without overeating, 1,700 to 2,000 calories a day will still promote weight loss. And he needs to limit his alcohol intake to 2 drinks or less per day. A beneficial diet for this patient would be education on the DASH diet. It will promote consumption of whole grains, fruits and vegetables, low fat or fat-free dairy, lean proteins, and healthy fats. This chart will help guide the patient, whether he's on campus or off campus, to make better choices so he has more of an idea of what he should be eating regularly. So 7 to 8 servings of whole grains, 4 to 5 unprocessed fruits and vegetables. This can include fresh, frozen, or canned, as long as there is no added sugar. The daily servings of milk, either non-fat or low-fat, the lean meats, poultry, and fish, nuts, seeds, and legumes, and the healthy fats and oils. Following this diet will also allow him some flexibility so he can consume sweets should he choose to do so. And again, as previously mentioned, the importance of consuming enough fluids, which is a minimum of 64 ounces for him, and that could be water, unsweetened tea, coffee with some low-fat or non-fat milk would be acceptable for him. The CDC recommends participating in regular moderate intensity aerobic exercise, vigorous intensity aerobic exercise, or a combination of the two, for either 150 minutes for the moderate intensity or 75 minutes for the vigorous intensity, in addition to 2 days a week of strength training. The examples provided on this chart may be helpful to the patient, especially when he is starting out to increase his physical activity weekly, just to give him some ideas of things that he could participate in, that he will be able to gauge himself and know what is going to work for him and when he can start to push himself a little bit more. The exercise prescription for this patient would be to begin completing 10 minutes of moderate intensity aerobic exercise 5 times a week. So he could be walking fast. He could find maybe some water aerobics to participate in. Even if it was water walking, that would be really beneficial, a good low impact exercise for him. And then he can, as the weeks go by, he can begin to increase in 5-minute increments as tolerated until he can get up to the 150 minutes each week of the moderate intensity aerobic exercise. In addition to that, he can begin the strength training exercises 2 days a week. That could be, squats, any sort of calisthenics, sit-ups, push-ups. He doesn't really need to begin weightlifting or anything like that immediately. After a 10% weight loss, it's recommended that he could consider adding in more of the vigorous intensity aerobic exercise. He's going to be able to get around a little bit easier. He's going to have some strength built up, and that would be really beneficial for him. He could start maybe jogging once or twice a week or swimming laps, whatever feels comfortable for him. And some great things that he could do are look on campus and see what sort of fitness center they have there. Perhaps they have fitness classes that he could participate in to help guide him and make sure he's doing all of his exercises correctly. He could also look into a personal trainer on campus, or maybe even an intramural sports league, because he did play soccer when he was younger, but then he got into high school and the weight gain made him unable to participate in that any further. In conclusion, I recommend consuming 1,700 to 2,000 calories a day for this patient, again including a variety of the whole grains, unprocessed fruits and vegetables, lean proteins, healthy fats, the low-fat or fat-free dairy. Consuming a minimum of 64 fluid ounces per day, mostly water, because it is very important that he keeps himself hydrated. And again, speaking to the chef in the campus dining services so he can determine healthier options and figure out what's going to be the best for him to eat on campus. And it's also going to be very important for him to incorporate weekly physical activity by starting off with 50 minutes of the moderate intensity aerobic exercise, the strength training 2 times a week, and then as he feels ready and comfortable, increasing to vigorous intensity exercise when he can tolerate it. These are my references, and thank you so much for listening to my case study presentation.